I'm Dr. Triana. I'm teaching at Southern Technical College, and the first thing we always do explain in anatomy is body cavities and planes, levels of plane. The reason this is important is, again, first of all, is body cavities have to fit organs perfectly in the cavity to make sure they're not enlarged or there's not any anomalies, again, with, the organ itself. So we're going to start with the cranial cavity and the dorsal cavity, which holds the brain and the spinal cord. These are one cavity in itself. Brain can't touch the skull, so they're held perfectly in the cavity itself, along with the vertebral column, holding the spinal cord internally. Then we have the thoracic cavity, which is our second cavity. It holds two organs. It holds the heart in the center and middle, mediastinum, and then we have the lungs on each side. It's separated by a diaphragm. The thoracic cavity is important because, again, when organs are enlarged, they've been overworked. So if the heart's enlarged, cardiomegaly, it doesn't make room for it in the cavity, and we have to make sure, again, it doesn't basically affect the heart by opening up the heart because of the size of the heart. So these cavities are important because of holding organs and the sizes of them. Below the diaphragm is the abdominal cavity. Abdominal cavity holds intestines and stomach. It's important because we teach the students how to separate it in 4 cubes. Right upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, left upper quadrant, left lower quadrant. The reason is with appendicitis or, say, an attack of a gallbladder, that would be in the right upper quadrant pain. Right lower quadrant would be appendicitis. Left upper quadrant would be, again, spleen. And each one of these organs can be inflamed and cause a bursting of the organ and cause contamination. So this is one way that we separate. The abdominal cavity has all the organs that we talked about, stomach and intestines. And the last cavity is the pelvic cavity. And the pelvic cavity contains reproductive organs. So cavities are a way to locate organs, to make sure they're in the right places, to make sure, again, they're the right sizes, and, again, completely allow the body to be totally functional. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow along with my Foundations of Anatomy class. So what I'm going to do is, that's the beginning of usually every anatomy class, is cavities and planes. Planes, again, across the body. So we have sagittal planes, horizontal planes, and we have coronal planes. And basically we explain the planes, because with planes, again, we can apply this to also scanning, like CAT scans. CAT scans are, again, scanning the front of the body to the back of the body, anterior to posterior. MRIs are scanning in all directions. So by scanning in all directions in planes, we can have a better visual of a soft tissue organ, as opposed to CAT scans going from anterior to posterior. Once a surgeon or the surg tech gets to understand planes, they understand cuts and incisions, whether it's a sagittal cut or horizontal cut or coronal cut. They understand the incisional and the reason why incisions are made based on the levels of planes. And doctors have to cut along the level of a plane so they don't contaminate areas and they don't infect, again, different areas, again, with their blades. All right, so if you'd like to join me in a couple weeks, again, with the next step, what I'm going to be talking about in anatomy is cells and tissues and organs, again, and how they basically come about and how we distinguish them. Again, so join me in a couple weeks and we're going to move further on anatomy, explaining cells, tissues, and organs.